Alright, see that? Yeah, I'm a bit late, but you know what this means. Yep. It's 9 when I first created this, so when I created my first video. So you know what that means. Scene. Let me get a shirt on. In just a few minutes, I'll just. Make sure I'm not friggin'. Alright. Hello. My room's a bit messy, so. But this is me a year from my first ever video. So basically, my birthday is actually coming up. So, June the 18th, I will become 11. I'm currently 10 years old. And, well, June 18th is my 11th birthday, so honestly, today's a huge day. This marks the 1-year anniversary of my video making career. So far, it's not going the best, but it's only been a year. Things are probably only gonna get better from here. I've cut 7 subs, 20 videos, around 100 views, and here I am, a 10-year-old just here. And I haven't really gotten much views. Honestly, so basically, I got a lot to play. I've got so little ideas for my 1-year anniversary. Allergies. Alright. Now, hopefully, we can get some friggin' ideas. We got so much stuff to do. So, alright, so, basically, we should just, Q&A. Next video, I will give the answers to the questions that you put in the comments. So basically, next video, if you get enough comments, comments on this video will be a Q&A. So I'll keep looking in the comments for all of you epic people to just comment down below, and whatever questions you got, I'll answer. Unless I literally can't answer them. So, anyways. So basically, I'll close my eyes, pick a random game. When I open my eyes, I'll explain that game. First of all, it has to be a game. And, well, if it's not a game, I'll choose a game. It landed on nothing. I think I landed on like Cooking Simulator. Alright, so Cooking Simulator, a game where you basically just cook stuff for people and they give ratings based on how good you cooked. And I landed on Astroneer. Alright, a random astronaut lands on a planet called Silva. This astronaut has a base. He has to expand it by doing a lot of things and creating stuff. He has to create things like printers to make stuff, tethers to keep him breathing, and much more things. Let's just show desktop. And we also landed on nothing again. Honestly, I feel like we should just play some survival Minecraft. So this will be the first episode of probably many episodes that I'll do of this game. I'll have to keep inventory on as to not, stress myself out too much. Probably you didn't see me. There we go. There we go. That's perfect. Right, let's get on to Minecraft actually. Let's do this. I already have a survival Minecraft world, but I'm doing another. So basically, this episode will be creating a basic house and, well, making some basic tools. And maybe some mining. Alright, so we're creating a new world. It's gonna be easy. Alright, there we go. Cheats. Let's get the cheats. Let's allow cheats. I don't care about achievements. Let's keep inventory. My allergies are kind of hating me right now. So, I'm really sniffly right now. And my nose is also stuffy. I should probably get some headphones on. Perfect. First of all, I just realized I have not super oversized headphones. While this loads. what's this all have to do? Anyways, let's... And a desert! I'm gonna cut this out. Yeah! Alright. Now let's just find the spruce. Right. Like, out of all places I could spawn, I had to spawn here. Like, I had to spawn in the desert. No perfect trees, not spruce. Alright, those are badlands. Not really what I want. There we go. Alright. Alright, so basically, I guess our first goal is just gonna find a spruce biome. Because out of every place I could start in, I had to start in the desert. One of the worst biomes, where really the only way you can get wood is by getting to a village. Imagine there's like no village nearby. Alright. I need a... That is not it. I need a spruce biome. Oh yeah, jungle biomes are another place where you can make some where you can make giant trees. And also, jungle stuff looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'm probably gonna die. Let's... Ooh, that was actually a close one. I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna do this. It's actually pretty annoying. Why is there just a chicken? It's right there. I almost died. And this is my story. But first, let's take a moment to sponsor Raid Shadow. That's not what I want. I need to find a big tree with vines. That is a big tree with vines. I need some food, but I do not care. Let's put on some ambience for me, honestly. I'm kind of getting bored. Imagine it just suddenly gets louder than the sound barrier. Why did I say louder than the sound barrier? I really am a different species. I really am different species. Don't do that! Don't just drop the friggin'... It's almost becoming night. It is kind of a problem. Are you serious? Out of all of the places I could have fallen, I had to fall in a random hole. Ooh, melons. Perfect. Especially that I... Ooh, 4. I got 4 million. Literally just enough to replenish my hunger. Carrot. Seven in... That's 6. It's 4. Alright, this will definitely be useful. Oh, Panda. Panda. I've committed a crime. Oh! Jeepers cripes. Let's stay away from that. Maybe because I committed a federal crime on it. I don't know if I deserve it. Like, it's only a little federal crime. Like, federal crimes never hurt anybody. Except for maybe a few people. And this includes everybody in the entire world. I can make 3 melons. In which I need 9 per melon. And it's becoming night. Perfect! Now I have nothing to do. So I'm going to hide in a random hole. Alright, there we go. Anyways, let's just wait out the night. I am literally just waiting. That's a bit loud.
Pretzels, caramel, peanuts, and chocolate in a Reese's Take 5. Wait a minute. What are we doing? Welcome back. I'm Matt Chemist, and today we're going to be deciding which nerve agent is the most evil. Nerve agents are extremely terrifying. Let's start doing the research. Look at how terrifying they are. Let's start with Tabun. Tabun is a clear, colorless, tasteless liquid with a faint, fruity odor. This was initially discovered in 1898, but it wasn't discovered to be a nerve agent until December 1936, during a campaign to discover organophosphate insecticides. While it is an extremely effective insecticide, it's also deadly to people because it's a nerve agent. Now, what is a nerve agent? Well, I'm going to do a bigger video later about nerve agents, but in the meantime, nerve agents are these things that inhibit this molecule called acetylcholine, and because they inhibit acetylcholine, all of your nerves just fire like crazy. If you want to see what happens when exposed to a nerve agent, I'll include a link to a video in the description, but I'd advise
I
you
dropped that
to
freaking
use your discretion
speaker.
whether or not to watch it because it might be upsetting. So this basically makes all of your nerves fire at once, which makes your nerves send signals over and over, and your body effectively spasms, and you eventually will die from asphyxiation, from your diaphragm flexing and then not releasing, or eventually from your heart stopping. Additionally, some of these cross the blood-brain barrier, and so they do all sorts of things inside of your brain as well. These are terrifying. Even the F-tier ones in this list are still S-tier terrifying. So that being said, all of these chemicals are extremely concerning. Even if they get a bad rank, that doesn't mean they're not scary. I wouldn't get started any of these, even precursors, for goodness sakes. So Tabun, this is a member of what's known as the G series. The G series nerve agents are volatile, and they're also really corrosive, and as a result, they're not great to store long term. You can see that the G series tend to have G abbreviations after their name. One that doesn't here is this methylcyclosarin. But these G series agents all are somewhat volatile and fairly corrosive. Now the downside with these is because they're volatile, the more volatile they are, the faster they dissipate. So if this is a liquid that's volatile, it's going to have a greater chance that someone breathes it in and is exposed to it, but it might dissipate really quickly. So for some of these, the whole area can be decontaminated really quickly just by waiting. But other ones here will need special decontamination protocols before it's safe that anyone can go there. So Tabun, it's rated a 7.6 out of 10 as a nerve agent. Now this one doesn't have as favorable properties for storage, so it doesn't make as good of a nerve agent as like a weapon. So this one's worse, but it's still pretty terrifying. As I said earlier, every single one of these is S tier terrifying, and you should never mess around with nerve agents. Tabun can go into D tier because some of the other ones we're going to talk about are just horrendously terrifying. Let's talk about sarin. Sarin was discovered in 1938, and the Nazis produced tons of this. However, Hitler refused to initiate the use of any of these nerve agents as weapons, although people aren't 100% sure why. This one's also really terrifying. The one thing that they found is when they have a methyl group here instead of that dimethylamino group, that made it a little bit more potent, which is why you see that trend in the remainder of the G series. However, this PF is still very corrosive, and that's why these are kind of disfavorable. Now, in the West, none of these are actively used, although some training has been done with Sarin and VX. Live agent training is done so that service members are able to be prepared for possible situations they can encounter on the field. Although the West does not actively use these against people in combat situations. Now that reminds me, later on I should bring up Edgewood Arsenal, because that's a key point that I really want to highlight here, and it's something that probably can be featured in several videos moving forward. So Sarin, it's a little bit better than Tabun in terms of overall concern. That being said, it's only rated 7 out of 10 as a nerve agent, so we'll put Sarin into D tier as well. Fluorosarin. Fluorosarin is pretty scary. It's less toxic than sarin, although it can also be a chemical precursor to sarin. So this is pretty scary. It's almost as bad as sarin, maybe slightly worse. It's rated 6.9 out of 10 as a nerve agent, so I'll put it into E tier. Now, you might be thinking 7 out of 10 is pretty bad, but just wait till we get to some of the higher ranked ones. They're way scarier. Thiosarin, it's less toxic than sarin. However, this sulfur can easily hydrolyze to the corresponding oxygen derivative, and it can also just react with elemental oxygen to form that. So this is a precursor to sarin, but it's like one that the atmosphere will make into sarin. This is rated a 7.1 out of 10 as a nerve agent, and it's about as bad as sarin. So we'll put this in the same tier as sarin, even though it could probably go to higher.
Hey, Oak Brook and the surrounding areas. I'm back to my Oak Brook Medical Group in Oak Brook, Illinois. Are you or level with dealing with anything? Here at Oak Brook Medical Group, we're part of the medically integrated medical services, chiropractic,
Now, Soman is scarier than sarin. Even though the structure is really similar, you can see sarin has this isopropyl group. With here we have this 1,2,2 trimethylpropyl group. When this alcohol group is bulkier and bigger, it makes it less volatile. So that means it will dissipate as quickly in the atmosphere, and it'll actually spread further. So this is more concerning because it can linger and be an issue for longer distances. And because it's less volatile, it's going to slowly evaporate off the surfaces, and so it can be persistent a little bit longer. So this one's scarier than sarin for sure. Now, it's also more toxic. In terms of relative toxicity, this is worse, it's more potent. And it was discovered together by Nobel laureate Richard Kuhn with Conrad Hegel at the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Medical Research in 1944. This one's rated as a 7.9 out of 10 as a nerve agent.
Okay. Let's try not die.
This book is terrifying, and I can't believe it's absolutely terrifying. So man is really scary. We can put it into C tier. Maybe this belongs in B tier as we're working our way through. We can decide if it belongs in B tier. Now, cyclosarin. That's a synthesized chapter, so man, I want to go find the exact year. It's like the basically it evaporates relatively quickly. That's a 169 for the rate of sarin, which I thought was kind of scary. This is bulkier than its trimethylpropyl group. And this one's rated as a 0.6 out of 10 as a potential nerve agent. Absolutely horrifying. Now, one that's even more horrifying is this methylcyclosarin, which is EA1356. Now, let's talk about the EAs
when
for
is
a minute.
this
Now,
night
there's this
going
program
to
that the U.S.
end?
Army Chemical Corps had called the Edgewood Arsenal Human Experiments. And from 1948 to 1975, they conducted classified human subject research at this facility in Maryland, at the Edgewood Arsenal. And they tested several reagents, not just nerve agents, but they tested lots and lots of different chemical agents.
Let me just
on
strain my
volunteers.
hunger.
And there's a lot more controversy surrounding that. And if that's the type of thing you want to hear more about, make sure you leave a comment down below to let me know. Because this is something that should be discussed way more frequently. I had no idea that the U.S. Army was doing this. And the fact that they were testing chemical warfare agents on American citizens is absolutely horrifying. And it is shameful. So when people say, the West is good, we don't use nerve agents on people, the exception here is their own people. In fact, even their own Marines. And this isn't for training purposes, this is to test what chemicals do to people.
Honestly,
So I think this is awful, and I can't believe that we have done this as people. Methylcycloserine is scarier than cycloserine. Why, you might ask? Well, this extra methyl group is problematic. There's actually not so much I can find about this online. However, it's known that methylcycloserine is highly resistant to enzymatic degradation in the body, and just in 2018, the US Army patented a novel enzyme to help break this down. So that's pretty scary. The earliest reports of methylcycloserine were from 1983, and I'll include a reference to that in the description. Methylcycloserine doesn't have a rating. It's probably scarier. I'm going to go out on a limb and put this into S tier, because it seems to be quite
so
bad.
there's
The fact that
Spike.
enzymes don't break it down mean that even if you're trying to treat the person who is exposed to this, their body's not breaking it down. So if it's not being broken down that quickly, you might not be able to save the person at all. And even if they're saved, they can still have lasting nerve damage. And that's pretty awful. Terrifying, evil reagent. One of the most evil we've talked about so far, one of the most evil on this list. Speaking of evil, let's talk about VX. VX was first discovered in England in 1952. It's more potent than sarin, it's more persistent because it's less volatile, and it's less corrosive because there's no PF in this molecule. So when this reacts with your receptor, ethanol is the leaving group, and it binds tightly. As I mentioned in the last tier
POV, you
list,
have mine
which I'll
included.
include a link to in the description, this was used in the assassination of Kim Jong-nam. This is rated as 10 out of 10 as a nerve agent. We can put this into S tier as well. Absolutely horrifying. Now, one of the things that VX can do, which is even worse, is as this breaks down in the environment, it can form EA2192, which you can see ethanol's just left as a leaving group, water's just come in here instead. The remaining H of water has gone to form ethanol when VX was hydrolyzed. And EA2192, again, has the EA tag, Edgewood Arsenal. And
Yeah.
it is still extremely toxic as a nerve agent. No degradation of this chemical was observed in distilled water after 1,000 hours, and it's also stable under alkaline environments. It's got microgram per kilogram lethality in mice, rats, and rabbits. I'll include a reference in the description for the hydrolysis discussion of this chemical. Another horrendously terrifying one. We can put this one into A tier because it's formed due to hydrolysis of VX. It's still an extremely scary chemical.
This video is sponsored by Pianote. Odd time signatures are fairly rare in Western music as it is, but 19/8 is one of the rarest odd time signatures of them all. If a song is 19/8 time, it means that it has 19 eighth notes in each part of the music. For example, the song Introduction by Chicago begins in typical 4/4 time. However, after about a minute, we get this interlude section in 19/8 time.
Perfect. I've
As you
got
can
an
hear,
axe,
19/8 meter leads to a very
we
vivid
should
complex section here.
continue our
Listen
journey.
to this clip of Chicago's drummer Danny Seraphine discussing how he approached subdividing the 19/8 meter.
How are you thinking of counting that?
19/8?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So funny little backstory to that. Jim Kelly was playing with Delaney and Bonnie, and when he was watching us rehearse, we had just kind of almost learned it. He walked up to me and said, "How do you remember? How do you count that?" And I had all the subdivisions. written
Alright,
there.
let's keep going
But
until we
it
find
was really
spruce
kind of a funny
biome.
How did that get written?
I mean,
We'll not stop this episode until we find a spruce biome.
It was influenced by Don Ellis, but what you brought to it was such a feeling of
Get at
rock.
least
You know,
one stone.
I always try to make odd time feel like four. I mean that's my goal. You know. As Seraphine mentions in that interview,
Make
the
a
use of
furnace
19/8 time in
and
the Chicago track was influenced by the famously
and a
time signature
pickaxe.
obsessed jazz band leader Don Ellis. Don Ellis is well known for using odd time signatures in his music. For
For example, his track Whiplash, which is in 7/4 time and served as the title track to the 2014 film. Not quite lined up. Of course, Whiplash's 7/4 time is a walk in the park compared to 19/8 time. The Don Ellis track that inspired Chicago to use a 19/8 meter is the track 332221222. And as you might be able to guess, the weird numerical title is actually just telling us how the 19 beats of the bar will be subdivided into 2 groups of 3, 3 groups of 2, single beat, and then finally 3 groups of 2, which is actually the exact same grouping of the 19 beats that were used in the Chicago song.
Ooh, perfect! Making my house here. We have an awesome abundance of coal, infinite stone, and tons of iron.
Piano is an online interactive resource for learning how to play the piano. You might already be familiar with Piano's YouTube channel, but they also have an excellent online service where you can access tons of exclusive videos and resources to help you not only learn songs, but develop skills which you can then apply across your playing. Piano have a massive library of classic songs that you can learn, and the best thing is that when you're learning from the sheet music, it's synced to the original record to help you work out where you are in the song. And you can even adjust the speed of the playback, add a metronome, and create practice loops to help you master particularly tricky sections.
Alright.
Also, a subscription to Piano gives you full access to their sister services, Drumeo, Guitario, and Singio, making it really good value for money. To learn
Let's
more about
do this.
Piano, follow the link in the description, and do consider subscribing to their YouTube channel. If there's one style of music that we can quite reliably find odd time signatures at work, it's prog rock. Drummer Bill Bruford is basically prog rock royalty, having been a founding member of Yes, and then going on to play for various other prog bands, including Genesis, King Crimson, and his own self-titled band, Bruford, whose song Hell's Bell is in 19/8 time.
And now it's raining.
A more contemporary name in prog rock is the band Animals as Leaders. Their song, The Problem of Other Minds, is in 19/8 time.
Well, now let's get some iron. Emerald!
The track Hidden Shadows by jazz funk legend Herbie Hancock is another example of a song in 19/8 time.
I found emerald. I thought those were really rare.
So that's 19/8 time, but although very rare, we could also have a song that utilizes a 19/4 time signature. For example, the middle section of Rusty Cage by Soundgarden is in 19/4 time.
Alright. Right.
As I mentioned in my previous video on 14/4 time, time signatures with a 4 on the bottom and a large number
13.
on the top, like 19, are often best divided up into smaller
No, no, no,
time
no,
signatures to give
no.
information about how the music should be accented and felt. For example, here with Soundgarden's Rusty Cage, I personally would subdivide the 19 beats of the bar into 3 bars of 3/4 and 2 bars of 5/4. One of the most interesting aspects of time signatures with a large number of beats in the bar, like 19, is the many different ways that we can group those 19 beats to give the same time signature different rhythmic fills. A grouping that I haven't seen for a song that's in 19 is the grouping of
I think-
4 groups of chords and
I
1
think
group
this should be
of
enough to
3. So almost
create a
like
bucket,
being
axe,
times
and a
beat
friggin'
rotation. So we decided this would be a great opportunity
up some more. Let's just make it this like little school area. And I ran out.
I'm in a hotel. I'm looking for someone who needs a weekend in the city. You hungry? I know a place. It's the city that never sleeps. But hey, if you need a last minute spot, I've got you covered. Let's link up at hotels.com.
In the town where I was born, lived a man who sailed the sea, and he told us of his life in the land of submarines. We all live in a yellow submarine, yellow submarine, yellow submarine. We all live in a yellow
Perfect.
In typical Western music, the smallest
Basically-
interval that we deal with, the smallest gap between two notes, is a semitone, otherwise known as a half step. On a keyboard, for example, the smallest interval I can go up or down from any note is a semitone. But even though we can't play them easily on a keyboard, there are pitches between these two notes. For example, this C here has the frequency of 261.6 Hz. That's the frequency at which the sound waves are vibrating to create the pitch. But the next note up, the C sharp, jumps up to 277.2 Hz. So there's certainly space in between these two frequencies. So what would happen if I played a note pitched between C and C sharp? This pitch is 269.4 Hz. The note halfway between C and C sharp, and what we would call C half sharp. Even the untrained ear can hear that this note is distinctly different from either the C or the C sharp. So why isn't it available on my keyboard? Why don't people use half sharps when they write music? Well, some musicians and composers do, and the music they write using these sub-semitone intervals is known as microtonal music. Western classical composers have been experimenting with microtonality since at least the turn of the 20th century. Our standard Western tuning system is known as 12-tet, or 12-tone octave temperament, because it divides the octave into 12 equally spaced
I'm making some
pitches.
cheers so that I don't kill you.
But composers like Wysocki and Ives used alternative systems that divided the octave up into even smaller divisions, most commonly 24 divisions, doubling our standard 12 pitches. They went about this most often by writing for two pianos, one tuned a quarter tone higher than the other, meaning that between the two pianos
Four.
they
So
had access to
that I need
12
16.
In Wysocki's Prelude No. 1, he takes advantage of the 24 quarter tones by running up and down them in this ultra-chromatic scale. In this excerpt from Charles Ives' three-quarter tone pieces, the focus of the music is quickly swaying back and forth between the two pianos, moving like a pendulum between 12-tet tuning and 24-tet tuning. two pianos, we experience just standard 12-10 tuning. But as the second piano re-enters again and the two overlap, we are plunged once more into the microtonal murkiness. When we look at the sheet music, we won't actually see any quarter tone accidentals, that is, any half sharps or half flats, because each piano on their own isn't actually playing any microtonal intervals, but it's the interaction between these two pianos tuned a quarter tone apart which creates the microtonality. So microtonality has been used in some experiments in classical music, but can we find it in any modern pop or rock music? Perhaps the most common place to find microtonality in Western music is with instruments that can slide or glissando between the standard 12 pitches. For example, at the start of Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin, the clarinet glides seamlessly from this low F up to this high B flat. If the clarinet was restricted to the 12-tone system like a piano is, the glide would sound like this. But because the clarinet can access the notes between the standard 12 pitches, it can achieve this smooth, seamless glide. In modern electronic pop music, a glide like this is often called a riser. For example, this riser from just before the chorus of Uptown Funk. Like the clarinet glissando in Rhapsody in Blue, risers like this are taking advantage of the notes between the notes, as otherwise they couldn't achieve this seamless, tension-building climb. On guitar, the string can be bent so that the note that is sounding is somewhere in between two standard pitches. Notes are often bent up a quarter tone rather than a full semitone, giving us a microtonal note. This is a very common technique in the blues, or at least music that's been influenced by the blues, like rock. For example, the bass riff from Are You Going to Be My Gal by Jet features a quarter tone bend. When the D is bent up here, it only rises up to D half sharp, rather than reaching all the way up to our usual D sharp. As the note is so brief and ornamental, it can be hard to hear the difference here, but there certainly is one. When I play the two different notes in isolation, for example, the difference is much clearer. This is D natural followed by normal D sharp. And this is what Jet do, D natural followed by D half sharp. In the context of the song, whether or not this note is a D sharp or a D half sharp, it is acting as a blue note. Microtones are perfect for use as blue notes, as blue notes are notes that are added from outside of the scale to add a sense of tension, and what could be more out of the scale than a microtone? But perhaps the best suited instrument in Western music for microtonality is the voice. The human voice is of course not constricted to any tuning system, so it can easily sing any and all intervals if properly trained. For example, it's common for singers to ornament their melodies by gliding between two different notes of the scale. In the song Misery Business by Paramore, at the end of the chorus, Hayley Williams slowly slides between these two notes, spending a reasonable amount of time in the space between the standard pitches. This slow, deliberate slide between the two notes makes use of those microtonal dissonant notes in between. The only issue, though, with referring to slides and glissandos as microtonal is that they are almost always just passing through a microtonal note en route to a standard pitch. They don't rest on the microtonal note long enough, really, for the listener to register it. Is there any pop or rock music that uses microtonal intervals with the same weight as normal intervals, rather than a small seasoning on top of our standard tonality? Is there any music that uses microtonal intervals instead of our usual tonality? Well, in 2017, Australian rock band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard released their album Flying Microtonal Banana, which is written using 24-10 tuning that divides the octave into 24 pitches instead of 12, much like the classical composers we were talking about earlier. The band achieved this 24-10 tuning by using purpose-built microtonal guitars that featured additional frets on the neck to access the microtonal notes. Stu Mackenzie from King Gizzard originally wrote this record to be played on his baglama, a Turkish instrument which has frets placed at intervals that are close to what Western musicians would consider quarter tones. Have a listen to their tune Rattlesnake that is written in F sharp minor, but with a half-flattened second degree, giving us a G half sharp rather than G sharp, and also a half sharpened sixth degree, giving us a D half sharp rather than a D natural. The resulting tonality is like a blend of old and new to Western ears. The most important intervals of the minor scale, the fifth, the fourth, and the minor third, have all been preserved, but the half-flat second and the half-raised sixth place us into an exotic limbo land between the Aeolian, Phrygian, and Dorian scales. Listening to Flying Microtonal Banana, you may notice that rather than the songs being based on chord progressions, like most pop and rock music is, the music is harmonically static, generally staying on one droning key center for the entire song. The music instead focuses on melodic development rather than harmonic development. I imagine this is at least in part due to the fact that writing satisfying chord progressions using microtonal intervals can often be very challenging and confusing for Western musicians who are used to studying
anything
thirds, fourths,
good
and fifths to
for
make up
me?
chords, not quarter tones. But another
That's
reason why King
not
Gizzard may have
good.
chosen to keep the microtonality exclusively melodic
No,
rather than harmonic
I do not want
is so it's not
any.
too overwhelming to the listener.
I don't
By
want
only having
any.
quarter tones appearing periodically in the melody, for much of the song, we are actually only in normal 12/10 Western tuning. It's only when we come across these microtonal notes in the melody that we slide into this exotic 24/10, unlocking the microtonal sound.
Space rovers? Impossible. Electric trucks? Impossible. Even something as simple as a pencil was once impossible.
Now we just need to find sheep.
But at Atlassian, we know for a fact that impossible things are only
Other types of food that I can use.
Sizes have used our collaboration software to power all kinds of projects together. Sorry, geniuses, but few things are actually accomplished. We're at our best when we put our heads together in order to take the big swings. When was the last time you accomplished something big? It was probably by working together. Teamwork is how to get to somewhere new. Make a process a whole lot better. That's how you make the impossible possible. It's not rocket science. Well, sometimes it is.
I need sheep. Well, first of all, I need food. LOL.
How to Disappear Completely by Radiohead features some microtonality in its string arrangement, scored by Johnny Greenwood. The strings are gliding haphazardly between pitches, creating a chaotic and unnerving texture. It's hard to actually identify the pitches that the strings are playing here, and that's sort of the point. They spend just as much time in the spaces between the standard pitches as they do on them, leading to an ultra-chromatic, tonally disorientated sound. I mentioned earlier that the human voice is perhaps the most versatile instrument for writing and performing microtonal music, and a fantastic example of this is Jacob Collier's a cappella arrangement of In the Bleak Midwinter. Collier's arrangement of In the Bleak Midwinter not only uses microtonal chords, but it actually modulates to a microtonal key. Through the use of 4 increasingly microtonal chords, we're shifting from standard E major to the key G half sharp major.
demonstrates that prior to the modulation, his song is perfectly in tune with a standard piano. But then only 4 chords later, he has fairly seamlessly modulated us a quarter tone out of standard tuning, meaning that the music is now out of tune with the piano.
Bingo. 4 magical chords. And then
The 4 chords that Jacob uses here use subtly widened or narrowed intervals, so by the time we reach the end of the progression, our perception of the tuning has been shifted enough that the key of G half sharp sounds perfectly logical and harmonious. Once we land in G half sharp, the first melody note we hear is this B half sharp, pitched at 508.36 Hz. If I play that pitch as a sine wave over this section of music in G half sharp, it sounds harmonious because it's in tune with the key of G half sharp major. And if I play the same pitch over this part of the music before we've modulated, the pitch predictably sounds out of tune. But the interesting thing is, if I play this pitch as we pass over the modulation, you can actually hear how the pitch starts out of tune and then slowly begins to sound in tune as we pass over these 4 chords. One common point of confusion that I wanted to address before the end of this video is songs that are not recorded at concert pitch. If you take a piece of music and pitch shift it so it's no longer tuning to one of our 12 pitches, that isn't actually an example of microtonality. For example, Friday I'm in Love by The Cure and Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis are both not recorded at standard concert pitch. They're not recorded at A equals 440 Hz. Meaning if you try playing along to one of these songs using a standard tuned instrument, it will sound out of tune. But the reason that this doesn't make these tunes microtonal is that microtonality is about using intervals that are smaller than our standard Western intervals, not using notes that are tuned to different pitches. Songs like Don't Look Back in Anger and Friday I'm in Love still only use these same standard intervals. The frequencies of the notes may be different than normal, but all of the frequencies have been moved by the same amount. They've been shifted relative to each other. So the intervals between the pitches are still the same as they were before. As a musician or a composer, microtonality is one of those concepts that completely upends your approach to music. You can no longer rely on your years of experience and your muscle memory that's all built around the standard tuning system. It forces you to think completely outside of the box. It makes you almost feel like you're learning your instrument from scratch again. As part of my research for this video, I decided to write my first ever microtonal composition, and I thought it might be interesting if I shared with you how I approached this. So I set up my keyboard so it plays in 24 tet, i.e. in quarter tones like this. I started experimenting with different microtonal intervals, and eventually I settled on this extra flat minor third, the interval between G half flat and A natural. I then went about writing the melody over the top, and I found it was a bit too confusing to play this on the keyboard, so instead I would hum the note that I wanted to hear, and then I would find it on my MIDI roll, which was also tuned to 24 tet.
Here comes the Phantoms. Okay, that was a close one. How do I create wool? Oh.
What I found really interesting is the different approaches that people have to creating microtonal music. So if you can suggest any other microtonal music, I'd love to check it out. Microtonality can actually be fairly common in some non-Western cultures. David Bruce has a great video on how different cultures around the world have used different tuning systems in their music, which often include intervals that we would consider microtonal. And as always, a massive thank you goes to my patrons, including Adam Granger, Andre Sainz-Diaja, Andrew Brown, Andy Deacon, Austin Barrett, Bob McKinstry, Brittany Parker, Bruce Mount, Cameron Oliveira, Chris Cabell, Kieran Bennon, Darren Harvey, D. David Lee Fish, David DeFundifer, Dr. Darren Wicks, Eleanor Skorchenko, Esben Hansen, Eugene Leroy, Eyes, FD Hodor, Golfhouse, Guillermo Latona, James Ko, J.A. Cockensparger, Joe Watson, Joan the Sodastrong, Justin Vigor, Lavender Monrose, Meg Fellows, Melody Composer Squared,
So,
I should go for a run today, but it looks like it could rain. Save on epic rain jackets at Sierra. Thing is, I used to go running with my girlfriend, but she left me. Oh, bummer. Here's a canoe. Let's get moving.
Can a can of Lysol take care of my snotty sofa?
Can do. Mildewy tiles? Can do.
These?
Yep, it's the Can Do can. Nothing kills more germs on more surfaces than Lysol disinfectant spray. Lysol, what it takes to protect.
How to shut up Karens, or why you should never assume anything about someone's education. I work at a theme park, so I run into the wild Karen occasionally. Today was no different. I was doing my job, cleaning an area as I was supposed to do, when I came across our Karen with her son, who I'm guessing was maybe 6 or 7. I said my usual greeting and went to pull my trash when I heard Karen tell her son, "Do you want to end up like her? Don't be bad at school." I slammed the trash can door hard enough to make her jump and then said, in my sweetest voice, "Oh, I'm working this job to pay for school. I'm going to business school and it's really expensive." Karen shut her trap and the kid was looking at me with awe. Excellent. More of this. Rookie Discord Karen. Will ban you from her server instead of calling the manager. Yep, had that happen once. I think the Karen should take this seriously. Someone took a shotgun to the top side. My neighbor is a Karen, and then no Karens. And that's riddled with the... looks like birdshot. That's concerning. Yeah, if your Karen is that aggressive, the amount of counter-aggression you will need to counter that, you're gonna start a war. Found on my next door app, oh god. Apparently, kids shouldn't wear beanies and backpacks. Weird activity. God, I'm not even gonna look at next door. I am the weird activity, I'm sure. Was just walking my dog, and a young man with a beanie on his head and a backpack at my home dumpster. My home's dumpster? At my home's dumpster? Sorry. Claiming he was throwing something away, although I didn't see the dumpster lid move. I stood there with my dog, and he left, walking towards North Kings swiftly. Your house has a dumpster? And also, it was throwing something away in it? Or probably more was dumpster diving is what I'm guessing, but like, okay? Your initial suspicion of wearing a beanie and having a backpack is just kind of terrifying. Crap, they hired assistants. Assistants, Karen. No. Karen, Mealy, 911, what's your emergency?
Yes, this teenager is skating at a skate park.
I want to speak to your manager. Oh, you absolute fool. I am the manager. He just does a 180, just like that. Hello, I am the manager. How can I help you?
Lady, I'm sick of them jeopardizing our relationship.
Therapist. Your response, Steve? Guy. I'll take Karen as a major bitch for $400. Or Steve. Karen would like to speak to homosexuality's manager. Really? This 66-year-old woman is suing all gay people. Oh, yes, all of them. I heard about this. A Nebraska woman is suing every gay person on Earth and asking a federal judge to rule on whether homosexuality is a sin. Whether or not something is a sin is your problem. Not everybody else's problem. Sylvia Driscoll, 66, describes herself as an ambassador of God and his son, Jesus Christ, citation needed, and will serve as her own lawyer. Oh, Okay. And Driscoll versus homosexual.
Alright.
Okay, NBC News reports in her 7-page petition, written entirely in cursive, Driscoll doesn't reference any case laws for U.S. District Judge John M.
Alright.
Gerard to consider, but she does quote the Bible and Webster's dictionary. Well, at least you have one piece of objective fact on your side. A restaurant that's won national chicken wing competitions can't cater for an actual Karen during Super Bowl weekend. Just to put it in perspective, they serve over 12 tons of wings during the Super Bowl. God, that gives me anxiety just thinking about it. J. Timothy's, I will never step foot into again. But will you step foot into an English classroom? They practice bad business. Rude 2. We asked if they can do a catering service for a wake service, and yes, they do catering. We were flat out refused by the manager. You asked. Oh my god. And the reason was Super Bowl is this week. Yeah, the thing where a lot of people eat wings. It's kind of a big deal. We said, are you completely shutting down for the week? They said no. So they serve their customers. Yes, but flat out refused us. Yes. You were not their customers. We did end up going elsewhere, and we gave them more business. Business. Word of mouth is powerful. This just makes you look like a jerk. How dare this place that sells Super Bowl centric food not be able to serve just me instead of everybody else on the day Super Bowl centric food is eaten a lot. Hey, I don't even
Right,
sports
we have
every
to
time
do
like,
that.
around Super Bowl there's like
Okay,
wings,
let's
coupons,
get
and
a
stuff like I take
shield.
advantage of that. I don't know or care who has the football, but I know I like buffalo wings. Carrie gives my bar a low rating because it's too much like a bar. I love cider, which tasted great, but the atmosphere was like a bar. Okay, I knew what was gonna happen, but I didn't expect it to be this dumb. Not my vibe.
I heard a
My
baby
vibe,
zombie.
For sure. At least it was when we started. Like, let's start. Bar was very bar-like. Man, I
I
went
should
to
just
Popeyes last
use
week,
the rest of my
and it was
watermelons.
like a fast food chicken restaurant. Not my vibe. I'd order to go for sure. Do not let teenagers in. They steal post and damage the building. No teenagers live here. Actually, they do live here. I was like, that's one, age discrimination. 2, if somebody has like shared custody or like family that's missing, like, well, they're somewhat even. Piano temporarily unavailable due to a complaint by a hotel guest. That sad emoji says so much. I do appreciate that the hotel had a piano available for quite a while, and you can tell that the cover wasn't used, or maybe it was, or it's just very dirty, but it looks like the cover has not been pulled out for a while, and it was just like an open piano for people to come and click on, because that's cool. I like that. Doesn't have to be good. It's just fun. Mail Karen at KFC. I'm not sure if this fits here, but it just happened, and made me chuckle. I was sitting at KFC eating. No other customers were there, as it was mid-afternoon. The guy was standing outside the restaurant, twiddling on his phone. I'm presuming he was ordering his meal, and then about 5 minutes later, he wandered in.
Perfect.
A young 15 girl at the counter greeted him warmly with, "Hi, order for Jake?" The guy replied, "No, it's Jack." The girl says, "Oh, sorry. I'll just go get your order." Up till now, it all seemed pretty normal. The girl returns a minute later with his food. Then the guy comes out with, "Listen, my name's Jack, not Jake. You really need to read the order properly. It's not good enough." Then took his food and huffed out of the store. The girl apologized again, and as he was leaving, some other girls out the back of the kitchen were yelling out, "Oh, the tension!" and laughing quite loudly about it. I find it even funny if it was his autocorrect that like corrected Jack to Jake or Jake to, I don't even care about it enough to get his name right. Today I learned that there is an official Karen language spoken by about 3 million people, mostly in Burma. Oh, this isn't a joke. And Thailand. I'm sure the vast majority of its speakers are lovely, though. Thought it was interesting to share. Yeah, I mean, the collection of 5 letters probably means lots of things in lots of different cultures. It was just a super popular name, I think, for baby boomers to name their children, and that's where we're at here.
Bam! That's what you get! I thought I had this melon.
Talking about my generation.
Perfect. Just what I needed. Let's go back.
Just bacon. Gotta put the stick here. I want to speak to the manager. Yeah, that's how the sale one went with the West Elm thing. Why isn't this normalized? What, you mean like the audio? Sorry, that was a joke. There will be a $5 charge for whining. I actually really like there was a mechanic sign I saw that it was like, I forget the exact number. It was like $80 an hour for labor, $90 an hour if you watch, $100 an hour if you make suggestions, and $120 an hour if you tell me how to do my job. And I vaguely considered doing that for IT stuff, because sometimes people are very weird. I did implement an emergency rate though. It's amazing how many things aren't emergencies, when the emergency rate is twice the normal rate. Duolingo for Karens. Can I speak to the director? This. Nurse here. Texted a mom, and her inner Karen emerged. By the way, it's her husband. She would have to wake up. Just wanted to let you know there was a wreck on the interstate, so might be a few minutes late for work. Okay, but I asked you to come in early for a reason. I have an important work call, and as you know, it's early release day, so I need you to get blank off the bus. If you're not here, I'll have to wake up blank from his nap. Maybe check the traffic next time and allow some extra time for such things. What?
Let's get some mutton.
Okay, I've been in New York traffic. I've been in situations where the traffic said, this trip will be 45 minutes, and it has taken 2.5 hours. Because a wreck happened in front of you, and you can't exactly back up, and there's nowhere else to get off for like another mile or two. But everything's a standstill. So, my god, welcome to how the Earth works. Wild Karen angry with Discount Tire for not selling her tires. Oh my Jesus Christ. They have to be so long-winded. I love this subreddit, but I'm also legally blind, so sometimes it takes a while for me to read these things. Made a little stop at Discount Tire. They made me wait and wait, as he recognized me and knew I was not happy by the non-smile on my face. So we're calling frowns now non-smiles.
Ooh,
I waited at least 20 minutes to
potato.
talk to the manager, and by doing that, they were just throwing gas on my burning fire. Jeez, get a room, you two. I wasn't mean and didn't yell, but I certainly let them know that by letting me drive on 2009 tires that looked
This will be
good,
good.
but they put my life in danger. Translation: I was mean. I pointed out the big sign in the office that you cannot avoid seeing. I never went inside with the tire checking on RV, where it clearly states that you should replace any tires over 5 or 6 years. Let's see, it is 2023, and my tires were dated 2009. Yep, should have been told to replace to avoid any blowouts, and they did not tell me anything of the sort. I'm sorry, wait. You went to a tire place. Did you go for new tires or did you go for something else? And they didn't upsell you tires and you're angry? He knew I was furious. Nothing I could do about it, but do what I did by going in there was to try to make sure that they don't do it to someone else. Jesus Christ, learn how to write a sentence. Last thing I said was, by the way, Bruce, this person is a friend of mine. Okay, they're name dropping. Before I walked out the door, his father started Discount Tire. Okay, can they fix your problem? You should have gone, I'm gonna say you should have gone home and leave these poor people alone. Karen got tired of
That's not
asking
point.
for the manager,
I'm
so she
like
became
feeling
the
it.
manager. No, remember that power. Karen's fur babies. Look, fur babies is cute, like a one-off kind of thing, like you're talking among friends, but like, if you paid to have it printed onto like one of these signs, you are serious about it, and you think it should be taken literally as a business name. And that creates some grave concerns. Moving swiftly along, Karens who caused traffic nightmare at Pretty Tree Festival Complain of traffic nightmare at Pretty Tree Festival. Is there really a thing that's pretty tree? Pretty trees. That is a lot of traffic, though. That is a lot of traffic. Me, I trained this chicken to talk. Her, let's see. Me, what's a male deer? Chicken. Me, how much is 200 pennies? Chicken. Her, this sucks. Me, it gets better. Chicken, it gets way better, Karen.
Yes, I'd like to speak to the manager of trees.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is such a mess. I went into a Whole Foods and got to hear a woman arguing with a guy at the meat counter because she wanted grass-fed organic chicken. Grass-fed organic chicken. And he was desperately trying to explain to her that chickens don't eat grass. Oh my good lord, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so hang in there, man. Movie on Tubi. Tubi, that's just fun to say. Anyways, should I watch it? A Christmas Karen. Oh dear God. On staff, 2 waiters and 3 managers. Madam Karen. Oh wait, we've seen this one. I appreciate that I got a caption though. I like that. I swear to God, Karen, I will crap on everything you own. That poor cat. Why is the cat in his sock?
Anyways, that'll mark the end of the first episode. I'll go back into the
When there are
house.
scary things we don't understand, sometimes the best thing to do is to face it. This light is going to gradually start flashing so you can see that there's nothing to be afraid of.